My dad's an artist too, and on my Pākehā side my grandmother was a painter and her mother was a teacher and a painter too, so it kind of runs both sides of the family. Dad saw that in us and really supported the idea of an artist. I remember going with him to Auckland to get these paints, and they were the new Atelier paints, and he let us use them. And he let us use his brushes and experiment with the thickness and the impasto paint. It was really, my grandmother used to get us paints for Christmas and stuff like that, so really supportive and being an artist. I think my dad he got Art New Zealand magazine, and I saw a summer school leaflet inside, and I was like, what is this summer school for? It's for an art school. When I was about 11, he said, oh, there's an art school, you can go to art school. I was like, what? I can go and do art at art school? So ever since then I was like, yeah, I'm going to art school. When I came here I kind of closed myself off to all other types of art apart from Māori art, and so I looked, I guess through narrative, at paint. In basic terms, like the whakapapa of paint, to some iwi, you know, the wehinga or the separation of papa and rangi, you know, the toto that come out of that, and also the veins within papa tuanuku. You can still see, or you know, you see with the kokowai through if they've carved out roads, you can see the veins running through. And you know, all over New Zealand, all around the world, you know, we've got different colours, you know. And then to mix it with something to create like a longevity, to protect the pigment and the colour, and then to apply it to something is really meaningful, you know, and so that's something that I guess every culture does, but I was trying to find out what that connection was for us, and then because I was using acrylic paint, just what were its characteristics and what did it have in common with things that our tupuna did. People always think of painting in two-dimensional, but because I was seeing it as whenua, it was always three-dimensional, and so I started trying to use the paint in forms three-dimensional blobs or little maungas, or you know, kind of contain it, you know, strip away the layers and just simplify it down to like a blob form that could be seen as a breast or a curve, or just a hint of something that was linked us from, you know, the whenua to being a tangata. Yeah. So that's where the two-dimensional to three-dimensional kind of, yeah. I think that's been my identity for a long time. Like, I've been a painter, and I'm still painting objects, they just happen to be three-dimensional. You know, I could spray it, or I could get, you know, but I enjoy painting, and I enjoy seeing those transitional states. That's still like a simple magic, you know, like the alchemy of that. I guess I was thinking about our tūhoe painted histories, and thinking about how the ngahere is so important, and how to teach my kids kaitiakitanga, because I guess that in a lot of spaces kids aren't allowed to touch or, you know, do anything with these artworks, and so yeah, creating this luxurious child-friendly artwork seemed quite cool. But also that it said something to them too, you know, so it's going to have a kōrero for them as well. You know, using te reo in the artwork and making it a resource for our kids is an important part of art, well, art practice now, because if you're not working with whare nui or something, it needs to really be useful to our mokos, you know. That idea of that word art and what that means, I don't really understand that anymore. That doesn't have I don't want to be disrespectful, but for me that doesn't have a use. That's, yeah, I've got responsibilities, you know. Yeah, I'm thinking about generations and generations now, you know. I'm not just thinking about myself. So it's an ongoing thing that you just have to keep finding a way for it to be functional and useful to the iwi, you know. Yeah.